Healing and healthcare. This is the winding down on the road. In the Synoptic Gospels, much of Jesus' public reputation derives from healing the sick. We talked about this last week. I'm going to give you a few more pointers of clarification. Terms for healing appear 25 times in Luke, 17 times in Matthew, 8 times in Mark. By contrast, there are only 3 healing stories in the entire Gospel called John. Last week we saw the second sign, which was the healing of the son of the royal. This week we looked at the third sign, which is the second healing, the healing of the man at the pool. And finally, eventually down the road, we're going to get to the healing of the man born blind. John chapter 9, verse 1 to 41. However, both here and in the parallel story of John chapter 9, the focus of the interaction falls upon controversy over work on the Sabbath. In other words, according to John's story, Jesus' healings are not a flashpoint for anybody's reaction. Rather, the controversy centers on the work entailed in the healings, whether done by the one healed or by Jesus. Nonetheless, these healings are 3 of the 7 signs that are central to John's story. The term well appears 4 times in the story of the man at the pool, verses 6, 9, 10, and 14, emphasizing Jesus' healing power. By the way, this is in the modern Middle East. Notice that homeless person, that poor person, is covered. Why is that person covered? Because of the shame. In non-Western medicine, the main problem with sickness is the experience of the sick person being dislodged from his or her social moorings and social standing. Social interaction with family members, friends, neighbors, and village mates comes to a halt. Therefore, to be healed in this world, the world of the non-West, is to be restored to one's social network. In contemporary Western medicine, we view disease as a malfunction of some organism that can be remedied, assuming cause and cure are known, by proper biomedical treatment. In the West, therefore, we focus on restoring a sick person's ability to function, to do. Yet, often overlooked in our world is the fact that health and sickness are always culturally defined. Always. And that in many societies, the ability to function is not the heart of the matter. Recall this. In the ancient Mediterranean world, one's state of being was more important than one's ability to function. Thus, the healers of that world, like Jesus, focused on restoring a person to a valued state of being rather than to an ability to function and to do. Anthropologists therefore distinguish between disease, a biomedical malfunction afflicting an organism, and illness, a devalued state of being in which a person's social networks have been disrupted and social significance lost. As we explored last week, illness is not so much a biomedical matter as it is a social matter. It is a matter of deviance from cultural norms and values and is therefore attributed to social, not physical causes. Moreover, because sin is a breach of interpersonal relationships, it is clear why sin and sickness go together. Ancient leprosy provides a good illustration of the distinction between the 2 different cultural interpretations of sickness: disease for us and illness for the world of the Bible. First of all, leprosy in the world of Jesus and earlier was not the leprosy we know, called Hansen's disease, which is what we today call leprosy. Hellenic peoples, Greek peoples, Greco-Roman peoples did encounter this affliction in India and later in Egypt, and they called it elephantiasis. Elephantiasis. A famous sufferer for us, of course, who is this man? Does anybody know?
Yeah,
Father Damien.
He's a saint, Father Damien of right, exactly, Saint Damien. He had Hansen's disease. On the other hand, the Greek word lepra, translated leprosy in the Bible, referred to outbreaks on the skin, rashes, psoriasis, acne, and the like. In our society, a person with an acute rash or psoriasis has a skin disease. In the case of smallpox, he may or she may be unable to function. But in ancient Palestine, a leper had an illness, not a disease. She or he was unclean, socially out of place, because whatever it was that emerged on her skin was out of place. Lepers were to be excluded, therefore, from the community. Similarly, the blind, lame, malformed, and those with itching scabs, crushed testicles, or injured limbs were not permitted to draw near the altar. What is described in the Bible, therefore, is not so much disease as illness, a range of anomalous social and cultural human afflictions, some of which had a basis in a physical condition, for example, crippled limbs, and others of which did not, for example, the inability or refusal to see or understand a teaching. Since people in antiquity paid little attention to impersonal cause-effect relationships, they also paid little attention to the biomedical aspects of disease. Hence, healers focused on the social relationships in which a person was enmeshed, rather than on malfunctioning organs in the biomedical sense. What bothered people in ancient times derived from socially rooted symptoms involving the person rather than organic and impersonal causes. In contrast to professional healers, traditional healers or folk healers who were willing to use their hands and risked a failed treatment were more commonly available to peasants. Jesus appears as such in the Synoptic Gospels. He is a spirit-filled prophet who vanquishes unclean spirits and a variety of illnesses, and thus restores people to their place in the community. He deals not so much with disease as with illness. Such healers accept all symptoms, especially social symptoms, as being important. Unlike the synoptic picture of Jesus, the Johannine Jesus heals because of his interpersonal relationship with the Father. The Johannine Jesus is full of life and volunteers to share that life with those whom the Father sends to him. Undoubtedly, members of John's anti-society knew this from their own experience. To have one's illness healed, a sick person is often required to have his or her interpersonal relations in order. Here Jesus seeks out the healed man to remind him that further breaches in interpersonal relations might cause even greater harm to come to him. Community acceptance of a traditional healer's actions is also essential, though here, when the healed man seeks such acceptance from the Judean community, the Sabbath controversy dominates the community's reaction.
Hey, thanks for watching. Just continue the playlist for the next part of the study. If you have further questions, this is good. They will get addressed, so keep watching. If you found value, please subscribe, like, and share. As always, questions, comments, and criticisms are most welcome. God bless you.